Baylor quarterback Kyron Drones, Jonathan Brooks of Hallettsville, Texas. Man, has he been explosive. Over 200 yards. And, of course, had a hell of a game, nationally televised game against Kansas. And so he is the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award winner.
Yeah, it was fantastic against Kansas. He's been, replacing Bijan Robinson very ably this year. I mean, obviously, like you said yesterday, you're not just going to forget about Bijan Robinson, but that was going to be maybe to me one of the big questions is how effectively do they replace that in their offense? And so far, so good for Jonathan Brooks and Texas in the running game.
Yeah, Caden Jenkins, a big week for him. He's got to turn it into more, though. I mean, he's a young player, and I'm sure this is all everything he hoped for, and at the same time a little bit overwhelming to suddenly have this amount of attention, but hopefully he embraces that, and he's built for that, and he can turn that into more performances like what we saw, because without either one of his turnovers, they don't win that football game. So he was highly important and very well deserving of that award. And then for Jonathan Brooks, I mean, same thing. A terrific game for him against the Jayhawks, especially these last, couple of weeks. He's really turned it up another notch. And Texas, that offense, really, you look around, where's the weakness? I mean, where is the weakness? Outside of, an injury, I don't see where you really find too many holes with this team. That's the only thing that I really see. We'll see this weekend, obviously, with Oklahoma, who the better team is. We don't know that just yet. We all have our thoughts on that. But barring that, if they're able to get past Oklahoma, it seems like the only thing that would derail them would be something, along the lines of health, because they are absolutely stacked, especially on offense. And, defense not too far off either. But Jonathan Brooks has been a heck of a bright spot for them on an offense with a lot of star power. Yep. He has emerged as one of their better playmakers at the moment, and that is obviously welcome news for Sarkisian and Ewers and company.
Well, Bruce Feldman today in theathletic.com, I reached out to him to maybe get him on this week, but had an article about quotes from those who have either played Texas this year or those who have scouted them and been in person. It's really, really good, and it's like what I've said, and really watching it in person when they destroyed Baylor is what they have on each line. They have this young, talented, although not all freshmen or sophomores, but this young, big, athletic, just beat you up offensive line, but also it's the defensive line with the full motor, despite guys who are 6'4", 305 and running like they can run like mad from sideline to sideline.
Well, that's the biggest similarity I see to their last great team in 2009 and this one is that they're up front. They're fantastic, and I think that, quarterback was something that kind of eluded them for a while, but you can't tell me that if you had given a better offensive system and the line that they have now to Sam Ehlinger, that he wouldn't have been able to kind of lead an offense like that, because he was a really, really good player. So, they just didn't have those things, especially on defense. I think that was one thing that always kind of surprised me, is that they never even found their way into a really consistent good defense at Texas over this time. And now here they are, they're doing it again.
They couldn't stop the run at times, and if they could, then they gave up just big gashing yards in the passing game, despite the fact some guys have gone on to play in the NFL. This seems like it's all tightly wound with what they have and the size of what they have, leaning on people on either side of the football.
Yeah, I mean, I give credit to the coaches, and I don't want this to be, taken the wrong way. I'm sure that it will be, by someone, though, but it's money well spent, too. I mean, that's a big difference. Yeah. You can go out and you buy an offensive line nowadays. You don't have to sit there and have hits or misses, and then if guys don't hit, then you're totally screwed for a year or two. I mean, you can just go pony up whatever it was a couple years ago, $50K per lineman, and that certainly helps solve matters. But I don't want to just put it on that. It's also Sark and company's ability to recruit just in general, and their ability to hit the transfer portal in some areas, and all of that has come together. Their wallet, their star power, their brand. I mean, everything just seems like it's kind of coming together all at the right time to make this team in particular one that is very formidable and has a big test on Saturday. Oklahoma's no pushover by any means, but this is a different Texas team for all of those who were like, oh, they're voting the preseason. Oh, here we go again. It's like, no. I was pretty adamant about, not think this is different, and not that I was the only one by any means, but so far, that has proven out to be the case, and this is going to be a great game Saturday in Dallas.
Well, I picked them to win the conference. Remember, I went over my Big 12 media poll, and so far it looks as if that is absolutely on target, but still games to be played, including not just Saturday, but others down the road. But one of the other things about the best money can buy or whatever is that you have to make sure you're giving it to the right people.
Yes, that's what That's what I said. You can still be able to recruit and all of that, but yeah, no, absolutely. But it definitely helps, when you're trying to completely overhaul something and build something, the way that they did starting, I guess, a couple of years ago with the offensive line being a particular point of emphasis for them, and you're seeing the dividends paying off. And so, yeah, that's not a knock. That's just reality. That's not something they necessarily would have been able to do 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And so being able to have that along with just your typical pull of being Texas has allowed for a very quick, coming together of all their parts and pieces to where it's bubbling up this year and looks like it could be, something pretty special.
Look, in just comparing it to professional sports, there are teams that have all the free agency money to spend in the world and are terrible at it. They're absolutely terrible at figuring out who to spend their money on. The Jaguars for years would just spend money doing whatever, like, oh, here are the top 7 free agents. We're going to go spend money on 4 of them. But was that who they really needed, those 7 in particular, or could they save money and pick somebody better for what they do? It's identifying the talent. Yeah, everybody can do it. Now, look, it's not a fair market. There's not a salary cap or anything like that in college sports, so it's not completely balanced like the NFL could be, but it still takes the skill to go, yes, this guy is worth that money that we're going to pay him. Right here, let's go get this guy, get him locked up with some NIL and get him in the program. That certainly takes some skill because everybody, you could put the 3 of us in charge of a team and say, here's your budget, go find some people. Well, if we're not necessarily good at picking out who the guys are that fit the system we're running, we're not going to be successful.
Yeah, not always the highest. But one thing, a note, if you look at their depth chart, Kelvin Banks is a sophomore, Campbell's a sophomore, and then you have Connor and Majors and Jones, all of them juniors and seniors. So, but it's below that. They've dug this tremendous amount of this depth on their offensive line with many others who are freshmen, and they are deep. In fact, their entire backup offensive line, it looks like, are freshmen and sophomores, and on the third team even, other than one player from Longview, again, a bunch of freshmen behind them too. Steve Sarkisian said this yesterday. This is from Devin Messenger. He covers UT. Steve Sarkisian saying that this is interesting to me, saying that players are coming to the 40 acres for the right reasons, something that hasn't always been the case. Explain.
I don't know. It's his quote.
I'm going to explain. I'll give it an opinion.
Yeah.
This means that perhaps the guys are starting to get in. That doesn't mean there's not going to always be entitlement, no matter who the program is or the type of level of player and recruit. But this seems to be is you might have players who are now on their team who are there, and yes, they expect something in return, but they're not there for just that. They're there to play football and be a part of something special.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that. I think, like I was saying a second ago, the brand itself is a large pull, regardless of anything else. And so they certainly are equipped with that. But I think that maybe I'll take it more as because I don't think all these guys in previous years were just showing up and, taking it for granted necessarily. But I do think a lot of people did show up and think that the wins were automatically just coming with having that jersey on. And then just expecting that was going to carry over year after year of what Vince did or what Colt did or whatever is going to automatically translate. And I do think they fell into a rut of, hey, we're the 09 team. It's no, it's 2012, bud, and you're not anywhere closer, or whatever. And so I think that, they finally may have, just the right group of guys who are in it for the right reasons, as in for each other and, knowing that the work that they have to put in and all of those types of things, as opposed to I'm just going to commit to Texas, show up, and we're going to win, because of the jersey that we're wearing. I do think there was some of that at various points in time. And so, I think they're showing up because they want to play for Sark and those various other coaches on that staff and all the other things that go with that. We're living in Austin and all that, but I think it's mostly they're showing up and ready to work and doing it the right way.
All right, here's another graphic. This is